Hi, I'm Erin, and this is Our Wyoming Life.
Every year, it's a race to the tomato market. Every vendor wants to be the first to bring the delicious fruit and reap the rewards of their hard work. We have a little over 6 weeks until the first farmers market of the summer season. Hopefully, we will be the first with tomatoes. And even if we're not, we will produce an abundant crop of one of the most sought-after farmers market vegetables.
We have a lot invested into our tomato crop here at the ranch. A majority of the space in the high tunnel is devoted to them. They're also the first seeds that get started in February. From February until October, they require almost constant and daily attention. There are a few things, though, that every grower can do to help maximize their tomato production. In episode 26, we talked about how to plant tomatoes to maximize their nutrient and water intake. Now it's time to start stringing and suckering the plants. Once they reach about a foot tall and their stems are nice and sturdy, I'm ready to put them on the strings. No tomato cages get used here in the high tunnel, only baling twine. Any kind of sturdy rope or twine will work just fine. Before we get to work, I want to remind you that suckering tomatoes only works on indeterminate varieties. If you grow any sort of determinate tomato, you do not want to remove the suckers from the plant. Indeterminates are a continuous vine. We want to encourage them to grow up and keep fruiting, not grow out. First step is to anchor the string to the stake that is placed in between the tomatoes. One stake can be used to anchor 2 tomato plants. I pull the string down to the tomato and then over to the stake and tie a knot. Then simply wrap the tomato around the string, all the way to the top. Once the tomato is wrapped, the suckers can be removed. The suckers grow in the space between the main stem and the leaf, at a 45-degree angle. Since these are all relatively small, they can just be pinched by hand. Later in the season, a pruner or knife might be required if the suckers are large. Start at the bottom and remove all the suckers all the way up. Be careful not to remove the top sucker. Removing the top sucker will temporarily halt the growth of the plant. If you do accidentally remove the top sucker or break it while wrapping the tomato, you will just have to wait until a new sucker grows and then use the new sucker as your main vine. Every year I break a few tomatoes. It happens, so don't get too stressed out about it. The plant will continue to grow in time, so just say a couple cuss words and move on to the next plant. I usually always wrap and then sucker the tomatoes to help with this problem. That way, if I do break the top, there's another sucker that's there waiting to take the lead. Also, this is something that needs to be done pretty consistently. The vines are more flexible when they're smaller, and it makes the job a lot easier. Every Monday is tomato day for me. I usually come out very early to help beat the heat of the high tunnel. There's a few reasons why I sucker tomatoes. The main reason is that it helps with production. You'll get larger fruit and more blossoms per blossom set. When you prune the suckers, it forces the plant to focus on making fruit, not a whole bunch of foliage. Each sucker that you remove is essentially a whole nother tomato plant. If you were to put it in some rooting powder and stick it in the ground, it would grow. I don't want a jungle of tomato vines. I just want lots of big, beautiful tomatoes. Probably the second most important reason to sucker for me is airflow. It's hot in the tunnel and the humidity is also higher. Airflow becomes something that needs to be taken into consideration. The thinner the tomato vines, the easier the air can move through. This helps prevent diseases and pests from attacking the plants. And one other benefit of pruning the suckers is that it allows more light to be exposed to the fruit. More sun on green tomatoes will help them ripen faster. That helps me be the first to market with tomatoes. With 6 weeks until the first market, I don't know if I'll have tomatoes the first week. The plants have a long way to go, but they are setting blossoms and growing at a tremendous rate. We've had a pretty cool spring so far, which has kept them on the slower side. Fortunately, everyone in the area is dealing with the same weather conditions. If I'm not the first with tomatoes to market, it's not the end of the world, but it's something that I strive for every year. Having a monopoly on a crop is never a bad thing. It'll probably only last for a week or two at the most, but it would be very awesome. If I were growing tomatoes outside, they would probably have only been in the ground for about 10 days now or so. So I'm definitely ahead of the game because of the high tunnel. Tomatoes are a pain, but in my mind, they're the crown jewel of the garden. I can't wait to eat some. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing to our videos. Please continue to share our videos with the world and help us bring the consumer closer to the producer. If you had a meal today, thank a farmer. If you shopped at a farmer's market, thank that farmer directly. We love all the support we've gotten, and thanks for joining me in Our Wyoming Life.